call the meeting to order at 5:32. Everyone have a chance to review the minutes of September 4th?
Yes. Make a motion, we accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Bills. Do we have a new bill to add to this or not?
Not yet. I have to talk to the accountant about it, to make sure.
He's on Pleasant Street. Correspondence. We have one thing tonight from the Raynham Planning Board. They issued a temporary certificate of occupancy for the kennel at 57 Commercial Street, Performance Plus. Oh, then we have one other thing. Peter King. I would request to be put on the agenda for your next meeting as a member of the Veterans Memorial Committee to discuss landscaping of the area around the memorial. Anyone here that would like to speak? Please step up to the podium. State your name in case nobody knows you.
I'm Peter King. I live at 85 Oak Street, and I've been designated as the chairman of the landscaping subcommittee of the memorial. And I just wanted to, I think I know where I am, but I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have any issues with the Conservation Commission in regards to, we're going to remove that stump that's out there. Because when they cut the tree down, they left a 6-foot stump. Going to take that down and grind the stump just to get rid of it so it doesn't grow back up. Just the short time that it's been down, you can see where the stump is just grown right out of the stump and grown out. So we want to get rid of that. Want to take that hill down, which, as I understand, is just junk,
Wood
chips and junk material, which comprises that little bit of a hill right out there. We want to get that out, dug it up, put it in a truck, and take it off-site. The Highway Department indicated that they could bring up some quality fill just to level it off and grade it out. I have Boy Scouts that are looking for an Eagle project, and they were going to come out and do all of that work. The only other question I had was that little skinny tree that's right behind the stump. It's kind of leaning toward the property on that side. I didn't know whether that could be taken down because it doesn't look like it's alive.
That was the one that went up in the, it is going over a little bit, that was behind the stump.
It's just a sucker shoot off the stump, ain't it?
No, it's actually a tree. It's a Y tree behind it, right? It's split.
Maybe 3 or 4 feet behind on the other side of the stump, directly behind it, really. I'm not going to go back with the landscaping, but I'd just like to level that stump off so that we can make that really, really nice looking throughout.
Just going to be grassed, or?
Excuse me?
Just going to be grassed?
Yes, we're going to retop it and reseed it. And of course, now is the best time to do that, so in the spring it will come up nicely.
That's all you want to do out there?
Yes, sir.
There wasn't anything else that you wanted to do out there?
Eventually, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do that this year, we're going to plant some Aphrodites.
Arborvitae.
Aphrodites.
Green bushes.
Yeah, the big tall green bushes. We just haven't really determined exactly where we're going to place those yet, but it won't go back into that area where the wood line is presently, right where the edge of the wood. It's going to be on this side of that, and it's going to go down toward the street.
I have no problem with that.
Everyone,
Yeah.
somebody want to make a motion to allow that?
Make a motion, we allow the subcommittee on landscaping to proceed with what they need to do and take that little tree down if it's in your way and do it up.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Wasn't as painful as you thought it was going to be, was it?
Site visit. You said you're gonna go to, what, Terrell? On-site visit?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think before I sign the building permit, I just want to check.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have him look at that one.
Yep.
Informal certificate of compliance for DEP file number 269-0431, 297 Orchard Street. How's with that all set?
Yeah, I looked over all the application and the original approved work, and it's all set.
Okay.
Everything's all done. The original builder just dropped the ball.
Yep.
So you're gonna be all set. He's from 297 Orchard Street.
Okay.
He checked all the work this afternoon. We found the recordings and all of that. We did find him online, so that was all set. So if you want to sign the certificate of compliance, and I will finish.
Make a motion?
Yep.
Yep.
Make a motion, the board issue certificate of compliance DEP file number SC 269-0431, 297 Orchard Street.
Second. Just one question. Is that the long driveway?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, no, no.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordered.
If you want to sign, then I'll send it out to you. Once I've finished with it, making copies and everything else, I'll call you or send it out to you.
All right.
All right? You should be all set.
The next item we're going to hold for the end of the meeting. Enforcement order for RK Associates, 600 South Street West, and Route 24 and 44.
Start.
How do we want to just hold those till later, Azu, or what?
Well, you have the enforcement order that you had required them to file a notice of
Yeah.
intent. In the meantime, they filed, I believe, a request for determination of applicability.
Yep.
In response, so they're still in violation of complying with that enforcement order. So you can, I guess, take up the RDA hearing, and that should be fairly, and then we can tie that back in.
Okay,
And
so,
I believe we have representatives from Nova Armstrong Associates that will review the RDA and inspected the site with some recommendations. I reviewed their report, and it's pretty much, and we've actually drafted, if you will, so once you open up the hearing, we have prepared sort of a determination that you may consider, because
okay.
you technically have 21 days within which to issue a determination, so.
Do we have all the paperwork?
We need the tear sheet, and I need the green cards.
Fees are all set?
These are all set.
Paul needs to read this, right?
Yes. Thank you. This was dated September 7th. Thank you. And, you guys find it? There. No, I need the green cards for the abutters.
Bottom. Okay, Paul, you want to open the formal?
Okay. Okay, the Raynham Conservation Commission public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Raynham Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, September 18, 2013, at 5:30 p.m. at the Raynham Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, Raynham, Massachusetts. RK Associates 7 Incorporated, RK Cape Roads Plaza, South Street West. As part of the ongoing maintenance and best management practices of RK Cape Roads Plaza, the existing fence line is proposed to be maintained via clearing of nuisance vegetation and the application of a broadleaf herbicide, in addition to the conversion of a degraded impervious paved stormwater flumes to pervious riprap stormwater conveyances.
That's it? Okay. Start with RK.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
State your name.
My name is Anatoly Darov. I'm an attorney of Burns Levinson, and I'm representing RK Associates. And with me, I have Frank Postema from EA Engineering, Science, and Technology, and also with us is David Baker from RK Associates. So I'm going to speak to the RDA. We've seen Nova Armstrong's recommendations to the board. I guess our inclination is to maybe cut the evening short if the board or the commission is going to follow the recommendations rather than get into all of the details. We have some arguments that we'd like to make on where we think this is all coming out, but if at the end of the night, regardless of what we say, we're going to have an affirmative determination, then we're going to not get into, a very long-winded discussion. So I guess I will say what what I think we believe is going on up there, and I think that the position that we've put out in the RDA and the recommendations that you've gotten from Ms. Nover really indicate that there's probably some additional facts that need to be gathered to conclusively determine whether or not there's a hydraulic connection between the wetland that's north of the hotel and the channel that goes by the RK site. So this is what you're looking at here. So, based on the field work and the investigations that we've done in this area that EEA has done for us, our view is that this channel conveys stormwater from the southwest quadrant and the northwest quadrant of this interchange. And the connection is shown here on the plan between the northwest quadrant and this channel, this intermittent stream that runs down to the east of the hotel. There's really no connection that's shown on the plan between this wetland in the southwest quadrant and the wet area in the northwest quadrant. But based on what I have heard and read and seen in other plans, there is apparently some connection, and the water goes to the north and then to the west, and then it goes into this intermittent stream. So there are a couple of things that we believe are not happening here. One is the hydraulic gradient between this intermittent stream and the channel that's in back of the RK property. We don't think that's been established conclusively. The plans that we've seen from the NOI that was filed by the hotel property show that this is a 25-foot elevation. We know that there's a pipe that goes under the road. Plans from MassDOT, some historical plans show it in a couple of different locations. There's one plan that shows it from this, something on this alignment, and there are other plans that show it more on this alignment where you see this blue line. So we're not at all convinced, we're not at all certain, based on reading Ms. Nover's report, that that there is a hydraulic gradient here. There's clearly water behind RK, but that water is coming from the reinforced concrete pipe that leads to the catch basin, and it's coming from, I believe there are a couple of other connections here that come off the MassDOT property. So the hydraulic gradient, I think, is still in question. We don't think it's been established. We believe it's not there based on our field work and our field observations. And the second point that I think is not at all clear is whether or not this intermittent stream actually connects to the wetland. If it only connects to the wet area that's inside the interchange, then it's not a jurisdictional area, it's not a resource area, and the water that's coming through there is coming through there because it's a artificial stormwater BMP. So I think this plan doesn't necessarily establish it. We didn't see it when we did the field work out there. So from our perspective, there's no hydraulic connection to the wetland. And this blue line here that you see on the plan is not the extent of the wetland. It's the Title V buffer area. And the wetland mapping, I believe, is a smaller area. It's in this general vicinity, but I'm not sure that it comes this close to the southbound off-ramp. So our position remains that it's not a jurisdictional stream, it's not subject to the act, it's not subject to the bylaw. And the work that we did out there was further maintenance of the channel. It was intended to discourage mosquitoes. It was certainly I think the cutting down of the trees went further than we had intended, and we're willing to restore those trees, but it remains our position that it's not a jurisdictional area.
Yeah, I would try to speak to that, actually. I think that where they're going with, I'm writing over with Nova Armstrong.
I need you to get near a microphone so you don't get...
I'm writing over with Nova Armstrong. I think where they're going with this is the definition of a stream and hydraulic flow due to hydraulic gradient. I was out there, and I provided in my report a picture of this stream flowing up gradient of the subject site adjacent to the Hampton Inn property on MassDOT land that clearly was flowing into the 24-inch RCP that I provided a picture of. I think that the topography provided by the Hampton Inn application wasn't detailed, and the channel it's very channelized and deep in places, and they didn't get elevations along the channel from what I can see. And I have a copy of that Hampton Inn plan that I actually got from the Conservation Commission office, if I could step up to. So this is the plan that I obtained from the Conservation Commission office, and it shows it as a swale, and this swale enters another channel that comes in this direction, and this is the actual intermittent, well, actually, this is an intermittent stream as well as this intermittent stream. There's no real topographic detail along the stream, and it's very, like I said, very deep in areas. It's channelized, and it's constantly cutting, so it's becoming deeper and deeper, and it was flowing into the RCP yesterday when I observed it. As well as on the other side, on the subject site, it's entering Mass highways, Commonwealth of Mass land, and it's actually flowing by hydraulic gradient from the outlet to the site. I took pictures of that. Unfortunately, I didn't print those out, but I do have a picture of that.
Guys, do you have a plan that shows that connection?
I do.
Okay.
I do. But I want to, but before I show you that, another point that they were making was that the stream, this culverted, this wooded swamp here, flows across under the, I think it's the southbound ramp here, and enters this channel, and it flows onto the property. Actually, there's two other intermittent stream that flows into that stream as well, through this wooded swamp. There's the flea markets back here. And if you look at Google Earth, you can actually see the channels on Google Earth. So there's actually two other intermittent streams, I'm assuming they're intermittent stream, I think they are, that come in through this wooded swamp and flows into that stream here, which is the historic Pale Brook, according to Mass Highway historic plans. So, which...
Sorry, can you hang on 1 second?
1 second.
There's a couple of plans. And I think the important thing to note is that the location of this, it's at Station 56, and it's the 24-inch RCP. This plan actually was provided by Mass Highway tonight to show the commission. I do have other plans. So this is the title is Raynham Cutoff, 1932 construction. So here's Pale Brook here on Station 56.
Right, so this doesn't actually exist anymore because the alignment is more this way.
Just a point of information of Attorney Darrow, if you would let her finish,
Yeah.
and then you can just...
Okay, so that's that plan. Here's sheet 19 of 36, and this is the Raynham Boston Fall River Expressway drainage detail. And here is Station 56 again, and here is the brook coming in under the highway in a 24-inch RCP. Here you have the clover leaf shown here. So it comes in and it flows off to the Taunton River, which is located south, down here. That's that. Here's another plan. These are old. This is a December 1949 plan. Shows the 24-inch RCP here that was actually extended in 49 to, and it looks like a head wall was constructed. And it shows Judson Street, old Judson Street here, and a series of ditches and streams flowing here that were most likely channelized, through the years, and not in the original location. So, and again, Station 56. And this is a picture of the same brook, and this is a 1950 plan. It shows this is the 24 easement here, and this actually connects to here, down here. It goes like that. And here's Station 56 again, right, showing the 24-inch RCP. So, many historic plans that show that 24-inch under 44, that an original stream, Pale Brook. And additionally, these are all your plans for your file, these are copies. Additionally, historic, and if you have a chance to see this is historic USGS sheet, 1893, I believe, and it shows, this is the stream right here. This is Dam Lot Brook flowing here, and this is the stream. It's actually flowing under South Street right here.
Yeah.
So, I think the question is, the point they're raising about the hydraulic gradient. You know, to me, there's a clear hydraulic gradient from the north side of 44 to the south side of 44, based on my observations of, you know, water flowing into the 24-inch culvert and then out the other side, and then through the Commonwealth Mass land east of the property boundary on the east side of the chain link fence. So the whole
Yeah, these are part of your,
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right. The point of my goal was to determine whether or not there was an area subject to protection on the site, and from there, determine first that there is an area subject to protection, meaning the stream and its banks and land under, and then an area subject to jurisdiction, which that would extend 100 feet from the bank and land under. And then also, there's still the question whether or not that stream is a river, and we didn't have time to really evaluate that fully, but we do provide a geologic GIS layer that shows stratified drift primarily in the area of the watershed to this stream, that so it may qualify as a river according to the regulations at 10.582, if it has a half square mile of watershed size. So
What's this plan? Hampton Inn?
oh, this plan here is the plan that, sorry about that, went with the certificate of compliance request that I obtained from the Conservation Commission files. And what this shows is, I believe it was Walter Hewitson that flagged this, because he marks his flags with WH, and the channel is here, and he actually hung flags west of the channel, which indicates there's some fringed BBW along that channel.
that's it.
So, but this is just another supporting document that it was the opinion of other professionals. Walter Hewitson's a PhD, that was an area subject to protection, and therefore warranted flagging of the bank and vegetated wetlands.
And this was done for your property?
We didn't own it at the time, so we don't know what purpose it was done for.
It was the change from Kmart to
Bed Bath Beyond.
Bed Bath Beyond, that remodeling, and that's what it
Could I
was
raise a
done.
question about this plan? I mean, is there a wetlands delineation report that went along with this plan? Because this doesn't indicate to me that a wetland has been flagged. And I think in your report, you said that this plan showed that there was a stream here, and it's called out as a ditch. I mean, this is clearly a stormwater, conveyance. And the fact that he chose to label it as such, I mean, we've got a ramp, like, right on this side of this ditch. I don't know what he would have been flagging there.
Well, this is just, again, this is an as-built, and
There's the
whoever
original
flagged
plan.
this area doesn't actually see the finished plan in most cases. So the Hayward, Boynton, and Williams, who drew up the plan, they labeled this the southbound ramp, but it's really, it's the easement and land associated with Route 24 and all the ramps and whatnot. And the labeling of the ditch, again, I've seen that, I've worked in the business for 30 years, engineers and surveyors, and they call it ditches all the time, whether it's a stream or not.
So was there an NOI filed in connection with this?
Yes, actually, there are two applications on this property in question, which I found rather interesting that VHB and EA, in doing their research, either wittingly or unwittingly, left this out, because they did have an opportunity to look at the files on record. And it shows a notice of intent filed on that particular property, on the wetlands file number SE, I have this here, on the wetlands file number SE 269-601 and SE 269-676. So there are two applications. Now, back in the time when they filed those notices of intent, when they filed those notices of intent, there was no Riverways Protection Act, but there was clearly a stream definition with banks, and they flagged both applications. They delineated those resources as banks and BVW with the notice of intent.
My question is about this 2004 work. So this is a 2004 plan. Was there a 2004 NOI that was?
Absolutely. There was an NOI filed for that, and there was an actual certificate of compliance issued. So historically, both from a historical standpoint, in terms of geological maps, street maps, dating back to 1855, that is actually a named stream. So whether they call it even a ditch, the fact is, it is still a stream, intermittent. That's why they flagged that. And so there's a bank resource associated with it.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. I'll be interested to take a look at it, for sure. If I could just respond to, I'm sorry.
Well, I think, intermittent, I don't know if it was determined to be intermittent at the time of that filing or not. But even if it was 2004,
Right.
that decision's has expired.
Right.
And therefore, the commission could look at it now and determine the watershed size and then the stratified drift area.
To determine that
To
it
determine
could possibly be
yeah.
perennial.
I think the stratified drift is the second part of analysis. We've got to get to half a square mile
Right.
of watershed.
Right.
And we measured all of this area conservatively. This wetland, I believe, did you measure this entire area? Or was it something smaller than this? Entire area, these two quadrants, I think it added up to 0.05 square miles. So I don't think we ever get to the point where it's a river, regardless of what the geologic soils might be. But if I could just turn back to this plan here, if this is the location of the reinforced concrete pipe, that's fine. But I got to say, you've got a hotel in the middle of this brook, because when Hampton Inn came in and built their facility here, their plans showed the intermittent stream along this alignment, and they built their hotel and they built their parking lot right in the middle of this brook. We've gone in, we've done a little bit of clearing, and I think we're being targeted here. There's a building in the middle of the brook. I don't know how that happens. Because every plan that I've seen that's current shows an intermittent stream along the southbound exit ramp that vaguely may connect to some kind of swale that comes from the west here. Okay, and this black line, all right, there's this part of the wetland This is in question right here, whether there is actually a connection between this intermittent stream, which is in the same location that's shown in the Hampton Inn files, and this resource area. We think that's still fairly vague.
Okay, but as I said, if you look at Google Earth, there's a clear connection that you can see, actually, in Google Earth, from the area behind the flea market to the stream that flows under 24.
Hold on a second. Do you have the actual drawings for the hotel?
I don't.
No.
I don't.
Mr. McCray, the point of the matter here is whether you find that, whether the information supports that it's a perennial stream or not, you still have an inland bank resource. And that inland bank resource does not have to be associated with the perennial stream. It can be associated with an intermittent stream.
Yep.
And the hotel might provide information relevant to this application, but that is not the subject of your enforcement order, nor the subject of this request for determination.
No, I mean,
So,
right now we're arguing
you
somebody
wanna-
else's property, which we're not doing, but I'm just curious for something.
I'm sorry, were you finished?
Yeah, go ahead.
Does that historical plan have elevations?
One other point that, the definition of a stream flows, out of within an actual area subject to protection. Now, on the other side of the north side of 44, adjacent to the Hampton Inn, is a fairly large wooded swamp, which that stream, this stream, here, is flowing through. So regardless of what's going on up here or up here, it's flowing through a wooded swamp in this location and under 44. So by definition, even at that point, it would be a stream. I mean, it was clearly a wooded swamp, red maple, swamp tooth below. There's evidence of saturation and flooding and,
And how do you distinguish that from a land that's subject to flooding?
Land that's subject to flooding has a complete different definition in the wetland regulations, and it's associated with flooding and not vegetation in the wetland hydrology. Completely different performance standards, doesn't have a buffer zone, so.
Right, I mean, we're not arguing that there's water here, but we're arguing that it's a stormwater conveyance that serves this quadrant and this quadrant of the interchange. It's clearly wet, and it clearly has some wetland properties, but is it a jurisdictional wetland? Our expert says it's not.
Does anyone else have anything to say? Anyone in the public have anything to say?
I would just add, Mr. Chairman, that, our desired outcome from day one has been to go in and to restore the area. We'd like to do it under a negative determination with conditions. We think that meets everyone's purposes. We appreciate that the independent outside review recommended an affirmative determination, but we would be out there, in a few days restoring the area, or at least talking to you about an acceptable restoration plan, if we have a negative determination here with conditions. So that's where we'd like to get to. Our position hasn't changed. I think that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, in anticipation of the fact that you do have a request for determination of applicability, we've drafted, because usually you have to make a decision within 21 days unless the applicant requests a continuation to provide additional information I think it boggles my mind, at least, to say the least, that you are being asked to issue a negative determination. Basically, we're asking you to say that you are wrong in issuing an enforcement order. They're saying you don't have a jurisdiction, but we agree to restore the area. If we don't have a jurisdiction, then why are they agreeing to restore the area? Are they good citizens? I'm sure they're good citizens, but not in terms of relative to the work that is being done. So unless they have additional information to provide to this commission, and they have the right, like anybody else that is maybe aggrieved by your finding, to appeal to the Superior Court as well as appeal to the DEP, and then let the chips fall where they may. But I think it's incumbent upon you, and it behooves you to affirm and restate your finding, and then also think Archie and Associates, and I'm not necessarily faulting the attorney nor the EA representatives. Basically, they've been asked to represent RK, and they will be remiss in their responsibility to RK not to argue their position. So I don't think one will fault them for trying to make that argument. I presume I will probably be doing the same thing if I was sitting on the other side of the aisle, if you will. But I am totally flabbergasted that RK came in here prior to retaining an attorney and an engineering firm, stood here, their representatives and the contractor stood here and said, we are sorry, we are going to get together with our MassDOT and try to remedy the situation. The commissioner gave them a little bit of extension to provide the necessary notice of intent towards addressing the enforcement order. The commission also voted to issue a fine as part of that enforcement order, with the understanding that if in fact RK were to follow through with their commitment to abiding with the requirements of the enforcement order, that the commission could see fit to consider lifting the fine once the work is all done satisfactorily. But I think with the approach that RK has taken, I don't see how the commission will even consider lifting the fine, but rather vote to reaffirm the fine and to actually allow the fine to be continuing, because each day of non-compliance is a new violation. And so you should also make that finding once you go back to your enforcement order. So at this point in time, unless there's additional information to be provided by to this commission, I will submit to you the request, the determination of applicability that we have drafted for your review, and I will encourage you to make the findings and vote to issue the determination. You could, since RK representatives are here, you can vote to issue that and issue it by hand delivery. If they choose not to accept it, then you can send it out tomorrow by certified mail. So, if you will pass on, and then
We need the first motion to close the hearing?
Pardon me?
First motion to close the hearing?
Yes, you could close the hearing.
Further going on, I just have a quick question. I just need some clarification for my own personal decision, Mr. Chairman, and it can be answered by Ms. Nova or the attorneys for RK. Last meeting or the meeting before, we talked about not filing a notice of intent to not set a precedent, correct? Well, I'm looking at information all the way back to 1893, 1949, 1950, 1973, and as recent as 2004 by a PhD, which is a lot smarter of a man than I am, and which was confirmed again just this past week. How do we not try to set a precedence if a precedent has already been set in 2004 when the prior owners to the property did file an NOI. I'm having a hard time understanding how can you stand the ground that you don't want to set a precedence for future, issues when the precedent's already been set in 2004. I'm trying to wrap my head around that, because the whole precedent thing, it's already been established.
Yeah, we did talk about it at the last meeting a couple weeks ago, and from a regulatory perspective, all of the mapping that goes back to the 1950s and before really has no regulatory relevance. I mean, there's a reason why DEP, when the Wetlands Protection Act and when the regs were drafted and when they were subsequently amended in the 80s, why they chose the USGS as the standard for identifying rivers and streams. So, earlier maps, I mean, the town of Raynham, town of Taunton, I mean, every town in Massachusetts looked a lot different in the 50s than it does today. There were fields, there were cow paths, the weather may have been different. I mean, we have enough talk of climate change. I mean, the hydrology of the area was likely very different in 1893 than it is today. So even if you look at that plan that was presented by your outside consultant, the alignment of that brook is not the same as the alignment today.
And I do understand that.
Yeah.
I don't mean to stop you halfway through, but let's go back to 2004.
Yeah,
the most
sure.
recent.
Yeah, 2004.
And that was after the Wetland Protection Act has been put in place, and it was flagged.
Someone made the decision to file an NOI, and I can't speak to that. I wasn't involved. RK didn't own the property at the time. I'm not sure that we waive our standing to challenge Wetlands Protection Act jurisdiction because of something someone did 10 years ago. It's a data point. I actually have not seen that NOI. I wasn't aware of it. I don't think we're bound by it if we believe that there's real evidence that it's not a jurisdictional area, and we think that there is, and we've made that argument, and you as a commission have to weigh that and and decide which way to move forward. So, I don't agree with you. There are a lot of maps. They go back a long way, but they're not reflective of what's in the ground today. So, I think the precedent is still yet to be set.
So, in your opinion, do you feel that today, as of today, and the maps of 2004 aren't the same?
There's got to be.
I'm not even talking about the older maps. I'm talking about just 2004, the most recent, when that property was
I'm not going to give you,
adjusted.
I can't opine on that 2004 map because there's got to be some more information that went with it, a report, maybe some additional plans. I don't know what that plan is showing. It's someone who, the individual that prepared it had something in mind, and I don't think we necessarily know the whole story. Just like we don't know the whole story about whether there's a hydraulic connection with that wetland that's north of the hotel, or exactly what the hydraulic gradient is. We know that there's a lot of stormwater coming into the ditch behind our property, which is why MassDOT went out there and did that work, because it was flooding our parking lot. But that water's coming off the ramps. It's coming from the catch basin on 44. I'm not at all sure, and our expert is telling us that there's no connection to the wetland that's north of the Hampton Inn. So that's where we are.
If it's stormwater, why does it flow 2 weeks after a storm? If it's strictly for drainage off the road, how does it flow when there hasn't been rain in 3 weeks?
As your consultant testified, I mean, this area north of 44 is wet. So, there is a, what's the term, Frank? What's the term for the time that the stormwater takes? Time of concentration. Time of concentration. So, the area is wet, but we think it's wet because of many, many decades of stormwater that has been channeled through this area.
Okay, does anyone else have anything to?
That's exactly, basically, what creates wetlands.
Yep.
Okay, whether it's stormwater from a decade ago or yesterday, the fact is, it is still part of a drainage system. So it is a clearly well-defined drainage stream. It is a stream whether the argument is right now is perennial or not, what the fact is,
Doesn't matter, it's still
there is a bank
jurisdictional.
associated with that, and with the changes in the Wetlands Protection Act in 1995 for wetlands delineations that required that the DEP data forms be filled out. Dr. Hewitson actually filled out DEP data forms. And the wetland system that convey water to that stream still exists. So there is preponderance of evidence. The arguments to the contrary notwithstanding, there is preponderance of evidence that that is a stream, intermittent, whether it's intermittent or not. It has a bank associated with it, and that bank is within your jurisdiction, and actually they altered the bank, okay? They altered the bank at several locations. So unless there's additional information to be provided you as part of this IDA, then it is important that we move forward. And then I will go wherever it is.
There's a motion on the floor to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
He wants to say something else.
Well, yeah, you can second the motion for discussion, and then
Again, we don't dispute that there's water moving through channels here, but they're not naturally occurring channels, not naturally occurring channels in the ground. They're man-made structures. They're lined with man-made material. I believe it's concrete. So we don't have a bank here. That's one thing we're pretty sure of. We don't have a bank. It's not a naturally occurring bank. It doesn't fall under 310 CMR 1054. So, the bank, I don't believe the bank was even mentioned in your outside consultant's report. So, could be wrong about that, but I didn't see that argument in there. And I don't think it's the right one here.
Okay, does the representative of the property owner have anything to say?
Yes, a couple of different things, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. My name's Tom McGuire. I'm the District Environmental Engineer from MassDOT Highway Division 5 in Taunton. And we are the property owners here. That is, the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts are property owners. And there are a couple of things. This RDA was filed on three different issues, basically. One was the tree cutting. They say they did a restoration plan. Well, that was included in the RDA, and frankly, it's not adequate. Also, we have the stormwater situation. They're requesting your approval of the waterways into the stream. We have an entire policy that says that shouldn't be done, including federal court mandate and the EPA consent decree. We also have the question of herbicide applications. Now, herbicide applications on properties of the Commonwealth are handled under 311 CMR 10, rights-of-way regulations. We do not allow, as a general course, anybody onto state highway property allowing them to put down herbicides. We have to go through all of the detailed regulations every year for our vegetation management program. So that has to be handled under both MassDOT regulations and the DAR regulations, along with the Conservation Commission approval of the wetlands delineation. I also have here a permit from 1974 issued to the Lanning Corporation, who originally applied for a permit to channelize the stream, the existing stream out there. I have a copy of the plan they submitted at the time, and you can see, let me submit this to the commission. This is where the stream existed originally. Comes up here. This is the 24-inch cross culvert under Route 44 by the ramp, okay? That came down here. And what they did was, they wanted to develop this property, as shown, so they requested a permit to rechannel the stream. And this is what they did. This is the channelization here, shown here, okay? And we issued that permit after proper reviews. And so the old stream bed here was then rechanneled into this very straight type angular channel under this permit. Now here, you see some drainage that comes in here, and it's still the same thing. This is the 12-inch head wall. This is a drainage channel here. This is the natural stream channel, as far as I can tell, as far as I can determine the original stream channel. You can see it here. Comes down over to here.
So, yeah, if I follow it, it goes like this. Push back into this, into here, right?
Yeah, this is
Which is
straight.
what's there today.
Straight. And then this is the 36-inch culvert that goes under Route 24 to the other side of Route 24 and into the Taunton River on that side.
And this is part of your packet. And here's a copy of that permit.
Okay.
That goes along with that.
So even back then, in 1974, it was recognized
Right.
as a stream. So historically, physically, regulatory, from a regulatory, you know, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but, you know, and it's not original with me, but I've always heard this statement: if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Those are just some of the points I wanted to make, Mr. Chairman. I would caution the commission that stuff listed in this request for determination is probably not able to be approved by the commission.
Anybody else?
I will just make one last point. We did prepare a planting plan that we submitted to MassDOT in draft form to the Boston office.
I never saw it.
Haven't heard back. We have not submitted it to you because we wanted to get input first.
45 saplings?
So was that supposed to be part of your IDA?
No, it was not submitted as,
No, it wasn't part of it.
What was submitted?
What they submitted was 45 saplings to replace 610 or 15 inches of trees.
I believe it was 226 caliper inches of trees.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, so you have a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Second to close it.
Second.
So, all in favor of closing the hearing?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We have a motion to issue a positive determination
Or a negative, whatever.
requiring it. If I could make the motion, I would make the motion.
I'll make a motion that we issue a positive determination on this RDA.
Second.
Okay, for discussion, so, sure.
So you can all review this one.
All right, we have a motion, and we have a second. All in favor of issuing a positive determination
Yes, recommended.
as recommended by our consultant?
Drafted. So you might want to read that into record.
happy with it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Which one do we sign? Now, we will just move on to the last and the formal.
Official. Yeah,
I'm going to make copies of that,
yeah, so that we can send,
and then I'm going to have to sign as the accepted.
yeah, so,
Like
yeah,
the original.
yeah.
And I'll be back.
So make sure it has all these, when we make, after you make copies of the signed set, bring it
Yes.
here before.
Yes.
And bring a stapler too, if you
Yep.
would.
All right, Azu.
Make sure it's dated.
No, we got to date it first.
I'll roll these up for you.
Oh, I was going to ask if they're
And ask if they're
Alaska.
going to take it down.
It's right there.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
We're in order.
Bill,
Probably don't know.
you gotta put a date right there,
And
today's
I
date,
actually got
September
this
18th.
11 by 17s attached to my.
September 18th, 2013.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we pull this out?
I'm just gonna-
So go about, make copies and then, bring a stapler, so we staple them
Yep.
together.
Before we, Azu, you said earlier, we need to go back to our enforcement order.
We'll
Well,
go back
that's still
to,
outstanding.
yeah, we're gonna go back to that in a
We want to talk
second.
about that.
We have a just the last of the formal, we have a continuing notice of intent for 2T's Realty Trust. They did submit the payment for missing last meeting and the payment for requesting to continue this meeting, so we need to vote to issue them a continuance.
All right, continue hearing.
Motion to
No.
continue to our next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, continue. Now we'll go back to the enforcement orders.
Give it Gail, Mr. Chairman, I recommend a 5-minute recess to allow Mrs. Santos to get back the copies of the documents.
Okay.
So if you want to.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we suspend for a few minutes until our administrative assistant returns.
Yeah, that'll be good. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm just gonna call them as well.
There we are.
Call the meeting back to order at 6:38.
Mr. Chairman, if you would ask our attorney, Dara, if he wants to take this here with him, or.
Would you like to take it now, or you wanna wait?
Okay, so I want to put right here by hand delivery.
I need, print your name, your signature, and today's date, saying that you picked it up. Thank you. Nope, he's got it right here, but hold on 1 second. All right, thank you.
18.
Can you give one, please?
Oh, excuse me.
When's our next meeting?
Should be October 2nd.
Yeah,
October 2nd.
second, yeah. I was
Is there
looking
time to file a new notice of
at
intent
last meeting.
and have it in for our October 2nd meeting?
Who's phone?
Right, gonna take up the enforcement order now.
We're going back to the
Yeah.
enforcement orders,
Okay.
okay? At this point, they're gonna have one last chance to file a notice of intent.
Tom.
As per the positive determination,
Well, you have an enforcement order, right?
Yep.
Okay, they were supposed to comply, because anybody can file a request for determination anytime, regardless of the reason for that. So the enforcement order required that a notice of intent be filed. Okay, so you can, it hasn't been filed, you can vote to have them file it by XY date, and then vote to continue your fine from that last time that you gave them to file it and they didn't file it. So whatever the daily fine is, you want to reinstate.
we have to set a daily fine
Right, from the,
over and above the,
from over and above the $6,300 that you had already voted for continuing the violation.
step up to the podium. State your name for the record.
David Baker, I work for RK Centers. On the original enforcement order, it was RK Centers' belief, based on recommendations of experts, that it was not a jurisdictional area, and I was not here, but we appeared before this board and asked for more time or to file the request for determination. The request for determination obviously is going through its course tonight. I'd ask for a reasonable amount of time to file the NOI, and I would also add, I'm not sure who was stating it, in the intervening weeks since the original enforcement order, RK Centers has met with Mass Highway District 5. I personally was at that meeting. This gentleman was not there, so I've never met him before. And I have been working with the kind of 1 to 2 landscape architects on of employment with Mass DOT who are based in Boston. A gentleman, George Batchelor, was on vacation through September 9th. I had been sending a draft restoration plan to him because we have, other than the one meeting we had at the district office with the deputy director and the maintenance director, and again, this gentleman was not there, we have not heard from District 5 whatsoever. It's their land. We recognize we cut the trees. I believe I spoke to you and copied you on a letter that we sent to District 5 Highway Director saying we will repair and replace the trees, and that was a mistake. That's still our position. So based on tonight's events, I'd ask for a reasonable amount of time, whatever that might be, to file the NOI. We felt based again on recommendations that the enforcement order wasn't necessarily the correct path because of our review of plans. We only bought the center probably 2 years ago. Our review of previous plans on record, not going back to 1893, but going back to the 1973 vintage, which was all we had. We're showing it as a drainage ditch, man-made constructed element, and that's why we were hesitant to go down the enforcement order route and the NOI route. It wasn't a lack of desire to put this behind us and make everything right and make the parties happy. The RDA simply said the things that we had done, which was the reworking and riprap of those drainage swales and the application of the herbicide on the chain link fence. So we now need to do an NOI saying here's our restoration plan. We need the property owner to kind of buy off on or give us some feedback on that restoration plan, obviously probably as well as the commission. In the meeting with District 5, there was some discussion about where they would want to see plantings and maybe they would not want to see them right on the slope. And it's been a kind of a discussion with George at the Boston office to say, I'm going to present something to you, just get it back to me, give me your comments, we'll revise it, and when it's finalized with the property owner, quote-unquote, Mass Highway, then we would submit it, obviously, as part of the NOI. So all that being said, is still the position of RK to restore the trees. We don't want to go in and do any more herbicide application. We believe that the drainage swales that are currently riprap and infiltration are basically, best management practices versus a paid flume right into this drainage course. There was the discussion at the district office that somewhere there was a permit for all this, and they were going to find it. They have still not gotten it to me. I'd love to get a copy of that 1974 Lansing Corporation permit so I could see what it says. So our intent really is only to restore the trees per everybody's approval, and that's it. And the meeting with the district office, they said, although not desirable in today's construction, yes, there was evidence that those drainage swales off the back of our property were, done with the knowledge of the district. So I'd like to get this gentleman's card if he's going to be representing the district. And as I said, we have sent a draft planting plan into the landscape architect who's employed by Mass Highway. And we had also submitted to him a licensed arborist report. I'm not sure if it was in the RDA or not, where they went out and calculated the caliper inches of trees that were cut, and then they were coming up with a 225 caliper inches as far as that area. So the only thing that has been done since I think you and I spoke some time ago was after the last meeting, Anatoly asked me to get the brush that was in the parking lot removed, and that's all that's been done. So.
Can they? Who is it?
Somebody sat on the keys. Not mine.
Oh, it was his.
He sat on the keys.
I hope it wasn't mine, the keys are in it.
Nobody want to steal it.
No. That's why you buy old junks. Nobody wants them, they don't take it. Is it possible to have a notice of intent submitted for our next meeting?
Advertise it and hold a hearing.
Yep.
Well, I cannot assign motives or what have you, and I think we are here because our kid decided to take a different approach. The notice of intent would have been filed.
Trees should have been on the ground.
Right, so, and like I've said before, you will do what your client tells you to do. So I would have probably been making the same argument if I was sitting on the other side of the table. However, it is incumbent upon you to reaffirm the requirements in that enforcement order. And I will encourage you to go back and restart the fine, starting with the $6,300 that you've already voted in. And I believe, I don't have it on top of my memorized, but I think you have $100 or $150 for each day of non-compliance. So that ought to start from that date that the last meeting that you had on the application, and calculated over that number of days. Obviously, the whole idea, as I stated at that meeting, the whole idea of that fine was not to be punitive, nor the enforcement order designed to be punitive, but rather to encourage and engender compliance with your requirements and the Wetlands Protection Act. That is the whole idea. But I think at this point in time, you got to continue that fine and ask. They did send a letter. However, I will say this: they filed a request, the IDA, but they also sent a letter requesting an extension of time for them to file an application. And so you could vote. They are here. You can ask them in good faith, when will they have, if they're filing a notice of intent, when do they intend to file that? And from what I heard a minute ago, they're only talking about planting trees. There are bank restorations to be done, because that stream, it's intermittent stream, but it's a bank associated with it. And that bank was breached at several locations. So that ought to be made part of the, any notice of intent being filed. And so they have to.
Yeah, I agree with
talk to
you.
about that.
You know, and everything that anyone has said from this commission, you have made faces, dropped your head. I'm tired of it. If you think we're all here just trying to push you around and that all of this is a big joke, then maybe you ought to find another business. Because you have done nothing but put everything that we have said, everything that we have found, you've put it down. And your faces are going to stop. Making faces is over. Do we have a motion?
I will make a motion that, I'm stating this right, Azu, to reaffirm the enforcement order for the property, continue our I don't have the numbers in front of me, $6,300
Fine, initial
Fine.
fine, plus.
plus from
Last meeting.
the date of last meeting. I will assess the $100 a day fine, and I will ask the applicant when they intend to try to submit the NOI
Mr. Baker?
for a date.
When is your next?
Our next meeting is going to be
October 2nd.
October 2nd. Will you be able to have it done by then?
It has to be advertised, Mr. Chair, at least 5 business days before the hearing.
Regulations
Sure.
have 2 Mondays before the hearing.
Are there 2 Mondays before the hearing?
You have to be in on.
Can they physically do it?
And today's the,
Yeah.
so it would have to be in by next Monday.
According to regs.
Mr. Chair, I would respectfully request additional time. I don't think we'll have time to consult our legal team and our environmental people and get it put together in time to advertise. I would request the following.
What's the date of the next meeting?
16th.
October
Well,
16th.
well, in that case, there's no setting a specific date then.
Okay.
So what you want to do is vote to continue the fine until such a time the commission receives a notice of intent. Leave it at that. So it's, the fine continues.
Okay, all right.
So put that language in.
I will restate it that we continue the fine of $100 a day from our last meeting until the time that the applicant submits his NOI.
In addition to the
In
original
addition to the
$6,300.
That was the first part of it, yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, could you just let me know what the date of that last meeting was?
Our next meeting's,
No,
The
the
last
meeting.
one was September 4th.
September 4th.
Thank you.
Then they were here.
I was not, I just was
Okay.
asking.
Yeah, right.
Do we have anything else?
you can go.
I'm headed to the nursing home.
Go ahead, Bill.
Good luck.
Good luck, Bill.
Good luck, Marty. You want a couple of the termination?
All right.
Let the record show that Chairman Smith has excused himself from the next meeting and has left the building.
And David, you just have to do the last one on the bottom.
We already did it.
You did it?
Yes,
Continue?
yeah.
We continued
We
it.
continue that, Gil, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Way ahead of you.
I was making copies.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Right, Taylor.
Thank you, Tom.
At this time, would George Vermilla from 262 South Street West please come up? At this time, we have a cease and desist order for the property at 262 South Street West. And I believe you
Kevin and I went out.
Kevin and,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Go ahead, Kevin, if you want.
I'll let you take it, lead there.
Well, Mr. Miller, we did receive a complaint that the pond was being drained and dredged, or whatever you want to call it. Photographs were taken, but they were not clear on you. So today is the first day that I am actually seeing you. All right. All I can tell is that the man in the photos wearing blue jeans, which is 80% of the American males. With just what the information that the complainant had stated, that's why this was sent to you. And this could be in total error. It could be not. Again,
Well, then if that's the case, I'm going to deny being there.
I can only state facts. I don't want to state
Yeah.
speculation.
Okay.
I was not there. I did not see any of the work being physically done, so I'm going off of information from the complainant.
And what is his name?
And the physical evidence on the ground. Because
Yeah, right.
Sorry, we just didn't hear, but we actually went out there and saw a tree that was cut with a stumped pool. We also saw the pond dredged along this bench, and then the stream from the pond to Forge River also worked on.
Correct.
So it's not just that we heard. It's very important that that be clarified.
And then come to find out, after we did some searching, to actually see who the landowner was of the pond, it's very unspecific on the mapping because it doesn't look like anybody owns the pond. It looks like the 3 properties that abut the pond abut it, but I don't know if anybody actually has the pond in their deed at the Registry of Deeds. So that's another, I don't know if you can assist with that one, Azu. I don't even know how that works.
No, well, Mr. Bobilla owns a property right there. And actually, after we sent him the letter, he did have the courtesy to call back and said, I couldn't be at your meeting.
Correct.
Which he acknowledged doing the work, but that he didn't use machine, that he did most of the work by hand. And that might have been the case, but some of the activity that was undertaken, George would be hard pressed to. I couldn't do it by hand.
I
Some of that had gotta have been done by machine. You know, the stumping,
I'm sorry,
the stump removal,
You
Yeah,
removed-
well, okay.
that fallen tree. That couldn't have been all done by hand.
I used the machine to take the tree, the fallen tree down. And just to start off, I have a prepared statement that I'd like to
Okay.
read to you. My name is George Bamiller of 260, I own the property at 262 South Street West in Raynham. I come before the board tonight with deep regret and embarrassment on the charges of disturbing the wetlands on my property. I would like you all to know that I never intended to upset the wetlands and the ecosystem in the pond on my property. When I acquired the property in 2000, it was used as a dumping ground for various debris, such as hot water tanks, swimming pool liners, 5-gallon pails of who knows what, and other debris and pollutants. My intent of digging down the spillway was to access the other remaining debris that is present in these photos that I have for you to look at. Over the past 10 years, I've observed all sorts of wildlife return to this pond, such as herons, frogs, pollywogs, turtles, fish, and snakes. I have a small bench and a bird bath near the pond that I watch these various animals from and spend a lot of time enjoying the wildlife of the pond. I would also like the board to know that there was no malicious intent on my part to clean up this area, and I do not intend to gain a monetary or improved status of the property. Thank you. Now, we're going to be talking about 2 different things. I've had photos here of the tree that was blown down in the springtime. I did use a machine. In fact, I did use a machine to remove that tree from the edge of the pond. I did not use a machine to dig out that spillway. I did that all by hand. There's no way for me to prove that I didn't or did, but I'm here in good faith to rectify the problem. I used a machine to bring over topsoil to regrade the bank. I used a machine that goes around to the edge of the spillway. It's grass has a hard time growing. I brought topsoil over there so I could basically loam and seed it. And since I had the cease and desist order, I didn't plant any seeds. I hadn't gone back there to do any more improvement to it. So, if I could answer a question. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. These first two are of the tree that fell, actually.
Just for historical part, the top part of your property is used for storage of construction materials, dirt,
Yes,
rock.
away from the
Yeah,
from the pond
the top
area.
half.
Right.
I know I went out there a few years ago to do a site visit, but I can't remember what I went out there for. Did you put up a building there a few years ago, or?
No.
No?
No. Oh, yeah, okay. There's an old automobile or truck axle. There's a tire. Yeah, that's that right side up. There's some other debris in here.
Yeah.
This is before, like,
Yeah,
cleanup.
no, this is recently.
Oh, okay.
It's still there. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Making the noise.
making the noise, yeah. They just want to get you a good-looking mug on
This is
TV.
some of the materials that came out of there. Articles, or whatever you want to call them.
Some of those down. That's still currently in there. That has not been able to be cleaned up yet. Horseshoes, it's gonna be worth a lot of money with horseshoes.
I might need it. And just, you said you got a report. What was the gentleman's name that?
A name I don't know.
Because I was asked that, and I didn't know his name. He said, the reason why I'm asking is his first name, because he indicated to me that he is the son of and he lives there part-time with his mother. And his last name is Sherman.
That's the impression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He called, his mom called too. I mean, if we go to the office, I can dig up the name. But
Yeah, I'm just
I mean,
curious, if you know off the top of your head, it's not a big deal.
No, he didn't hide the fact that he was not calling as an anonymous caller. He wanted to make sure that we know who was calling.
Oh, yeah. When I tried to calm him down, I mean, he was a little irate, but, well, extremely irate, I should say.
Well, he
But
said that he told you that you shouldn't be doing the work without going to conservation, and you said you were gonna stop, but then you continued.
Oh, I immediately continued. Excuse me, I immediately stopped.
No, I said, after before he called conservation, he had told you that you shouldn't be working, and that you should file, go to conservation and get a permit. And
I don't believe he said that.
well, anyway, you were taught, the letter was issued based on our inspection.
Now, the spillway that was cleaned up by hand, that heads in the direction of the Forge River,
Correct.
Is that on your property or his property?
It's right on the borderline.
It's right on the borderline.
Yeah.
That's the way it looked at, like, in the maps.
Right. Oh, and as far as the ownership, when I bought the property and on the town maps, that property line, and I've always assumed it was mine because it showed it on the original plan that I had, and it shows on the town map of the parcel and where that line goes through more than 3/4 of the pond. And I've always maintained the property around it,
The pond.
around the pond, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it on your deed that the pond is yours? I'm only asking, I don't know. And I know when we looked
not
up the GIS, and you click on, like if you click on a pond, like say you click on the NIP, it'll say that it belongs to the DCR.
No, the pond, because it's a riparian right, water right, so they all own to the pond. All those people that have bought it have rights to the middle of the pond.
So it's not specific to, because it is on the border of properties.
It's along your border, on the pond, to
That's your
the middle.
Right.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I had a neighbor of mine used to take her little girl a few years ago when they were living in the apartment building next to my property to fish there, because fish started coming back into it. You know, as long as the mother was there, but anyway.
Okay, so basically, we removed a stump that was had fallen into the river or into the pond?
No, it fell back onto
It
the
fell
property.
onto the,
It's
okay.
in one of the photos.
And you started to clean up some of the tires that were in there?
Right,
Okay. And you did some regrading of the bank?
correct.
Okay.
I put it back to flat instead of having a hole there where the stump was. Instead of cutting the stump, the tree from the stump, I pulled the whole thing
You
out.
pulled the whole thing out?
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, cleaning up the pond and the debris and the dirty tires and the axles, I think it's a great gesture by the landowner.
It's just the right way and wrong way to do it.
Maybe that's what happened, maybe it was just the wrong
I
path.
I plead ignorance, I guess. I just
No,
thought I was
you know-
doing the right thing by,
Yeah, no, like I said, I think, I went there, it looked cleaner, and, I didn't even see those tires are still in there.
Yeah.
And
Those were-
and I'd like to see them out, because
well,
it is
those-
bad.
Those pictures were taken yesterday.
Yeah, so I can only imagine, I didn't even see those that day, the tires and the
What
axles.
would you
and
suggest
everything
for
hanging out.
a procedure on this?
Well, I think, now that we have the photographs, I think, you table the action because we didn't really issue an enforcement order, we issued
Yep.
a letter.
Yep.
So what I will recommend is that I go back out there, maybe with Mr. Morera again.
From that other side, so we get a better view.
Right, so that we can actually look at what happened and then see if there's any need for any restoration work. Maybe everything is all stabilized and then leave one enough alone. So I'd like to table it and
Do a site
report-
visit?
Do a site visit and report
Come
back to
back.
the commission.
Okay.
Would you have an issue with us heading out there from that other side, from your side, so we could see the
Well,
tire?
we'll call him when we're going out and then he'll
Make
come
an
meet us
appointment
there.
to
Yeah, we
Right,
can-
like
I'll go out there with you.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Make an
yeah,
appointment.
absolutely, yeah. I thought you went there before, so you saw everything from his property.
Yeah, we went from
Correct.
this side.
So
Okay.
obviously, we're
Yeah.
seeing a one-sided
Right.
story,
Yeah,
and I think
Yeah.
getting the whole picture, because I know from the side that we were at, we couldn't see an axle, we couldn't see a tire.
yeah, they're right down on the bank,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, with that, a motion
Motion to
Table.
The table.
to table with a site visit?
Yeah, second.
All right. Motion has been made and seconded to table the action for now until our next meeting,
For you probably want to mention the location.
till we can arrange a site visit.
Yeah, for
262 South Street West.
Yes. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All negative? All approved.
What date is that? What's the-
No, the next meeting is October the second. In the meantime, I will call you tomorrow and schedule a time for us to come out to the
Okay,
property.
keep in mind that I work up in Westwood. I leave home at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and don't get home till 5:30 at night.
Probably will be on a Saturday anyway,
Okay.
all right?
All right, just to give you an idea.
Sure.
Or actually, and I can let you know tomorrow, I have every other Friday off, do my schedule.
Okay,
So if you wanted to meet on one of those Fridays, I'd be more than happy to do that.
okay, great.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You got it, thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin, can I have that report back?
And you probably want to, all the old, the
Yes, I'm
ones
gonna
that
get rid of
are, yeah, get rid of them so that they're not
They
in
don't get confused.
circulation. They get confused.
I gave you a copy of the RDA the first time around, but it had two page As in it instead of A and a B.
You
That's
know,
why,
I noticed that.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So that's why I redid them again for you, so you had an updated one. So give me all the old ones, and I will destroy them.
Gail, under other informal, should we bring up the
Yes.
Temporary flood maps?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Do you have, before you go, do you have an old,
Oh, yes, he does.
yeah, we all have the old ones.
Yeah.
You only made one copy of the other one, right?
Yeah, these are all old ones.
Yeah.
Is that Bill still? I'll just take it.
Oh, that's Bill's, I guess.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still,
And those are all Marty's paperwork.
they will see that,
So that we have record of it.
Just so the commissioners know, I attended the FEMA briefing at the Attleboro Library on Monday with the new floodplain maps that they have a extensive study on. The maps are down in our office. They only studied areas that abutted the Taunton River. So panels of the map that only abut the Taunton River were the only ones studied. So areas like the Forge River, even though that drains into the Taunton River, was not studied. So anything that was on that panel that the Taunton River touched was studied, remapped. Some of the floodplains increased, unfortunately, but some in some areas were decreased. So some homeowners may find that helpful on their insurance, while some may not be too happy with a new increase. These maps are for review currently by the commission, and we have 2 weeks to make any recommendations on how the maps are laid out. Not too much more of the floodplain, but administrative data of the maps, make sure the streams are in the right areas for our town, make sure that the streets line up with the streams on the map and everything. So we have about a week and a half left to make any recommendations and get those over to the people that sent the letter. If not, then they will go in the fall, early spring, to a preliminary maps where they will be more finalized, and the only way to make changes then is through an appeal process through the state. So this is kind of like a open chance. Open time to make any changes before it becomes more finalized.
Now, I have the maps until tomorrow. Planning is actually going to take them tomorrow night because they have a planning board meeting. So,
Okay.
but they'll be between planning and conservation. So if you guys want to come in one day and look at them.
So if anybody in the public that's watching,
No, public cannot see them yet.
Yeah.
public cannot see
Because
that
it's not finalized yet,
Okay.
it's more for commission
It's more of a
review.
regulatory review.
Correct, to
Okay.
make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. Make sure like South Main is where South Main is supposed to be, you know, and Hewitt's Pond isn't going right through it, you know? So just stuff like that. I've reviewed them and they look pretty right on, but I've only been a town resident since '01. Maybe somebody's been a town resident a little longer, want to confirm the maps and the panels, to make sure they all line up.
Okay,
Right on the other
right. So everybody to get a chance to go see Gail and she'll show you the maps.
Trying to get to see Gail in the next couple of days.
Very good.
Yeah, no, that is fine.
Anybody have anything else?
Recommend that you adjourn.
Oh, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I second
I
that.
go with his recommendation and all adjourned? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Negative.